So here we are today to talk about realized language. We're going to talk about reporting, setup, data, downloading, and resources. So this is information from the Realized Language website and the Realized Language website there. So it says it's a new online service. It's not new, that gives parents and professionals powerful ways to monitor, measure, and maximize a child's use of an AAC device. Okay, so the word monitor kind of creeps me out a little bit actually. So I'm going to encourage you to think about realized language and using it in more of a meta way than a micro way. We'll take a look at what that means in a second, but these are the main tools that I use on the website. So we have some usage info on the left in terms of minutes used, some usage info in the middle, word clouds of like what kinds of vocabulary is being used, and then some analytics that we have on the right here, where it'll show you different parts of speech and how frequently they're being used. So the first thing you need to do is get consent. Um, I did make and test run. I think Rose took a look at it for us and Kim. There's an AAC services flow chart. It's all like forms and stuff, and it's in our SLP OneDrive in this path. So it's SLP. AAC resources, and then forms and reports, and then there's just a flow chart PowerPoint thing in there. So take a look at that if you need to figure out where the consents are. I've made a bunch of videos for everyone and put them on Instagram, and I've made a little highlight reel in that Instagram called NBSD SLPs. I'm putting the realized language stuff in there because I don't think that that's going to be something that like LSTs and parents and stuff are interested in. I think it's definitely an SLP tool, so it's just in there if you want to take a look. There's a video here on how to set up realized language on an iPad. Now, for some of the kiddos that we already have on realized language, you won't need to set up an account for them because Kim or I may have set up the account already, but you might need to set it up on their iPad. So, or if it's not working, these are the things to take a look at. So anyways, here's the video on how to set up realized language for a new student. Go into menu, settings, scroll down to data logging. There we go, data logging. We're going to enable logging and then go into realized language setup, enter your credentials, go into current person. Now, if they're already in your list, you can select them or you can hit this plus sign here and set someone up. I'm not going to adjust this one here. And then you'll notice that this little squiggly icon came up here, and that's the appearance of that tells us that data logging has been enabled. Hope that. Okay, so I've made all these tiny little videos for you and put them in essentially a list on that NBSD SLP site. And you can tell which video is which because not on this one, but on the other videos, you'll see a question like, how do I set up a student on realized language and that kind of thing. So hopefully that's helpful to you. I was just telling Kim that it's not about watching the video today. It's about you knowing where the video is when you need it. So it's on either Instagram or on the NBSD SLP YouTube channel. I don't know if you know that that exists. So there's the NBSD SLP YouTube channel. You go into playlists, and then I've made a realized language playlist for you right here. And what I'll also do is when this is over, I'll download this discussion that we're having right now and upload it to that list as well. Okay, we already talked about this. Okay, so we're going to look at three things: the usage, the word cloud, and the analytics. So earlier I was saying to encouraging you to look at things from a macro lens rather than a micro lens. So we have graphs like this that'll show us the usage. So what this tells us is on Sunday, it was used for 60 minutes. On Tuesday, 165, like on Wednesday, 270, which is great. And then Saturday, it wasn't used at all. Now, this gives us kind of a good idea of it's used more on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's used less on Tuesday, Thursdays. So I might kind of be like, okay, what's happening on Tuesday, Thursdays? Is there something I can support? Like, is it because they're going to the pool and they need a non-tech system for the pool? Maybe that's something I can do for the team. Um, Sometimes I see that Saturday, Sunday, it's not being used? Is it that the family needs more training? And so I would kind of look at it more from that lens. When we look at it from a more micro perspective, it does show us actually, you can go in specifically and see that on Tuesday from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, it looks like it wasn't used at all. You can do that, but I mean, I had a team look at this one day and say, what happened between 11:15 and 11:30? I mean, that could have very easily been a trip to the bathroom. It could have been um, a little bit of red zone stuff where somebody was very dysregulated for a little while and the focus was really just calming down. A lot of things can happen in 15 minutes. And so I'm less concerned about that and more concerned about these like giant chunks of time that I might be able to support in a different way. But let's look at realized language itself. So let's open it up here. So when you open it up, um, you are going to see this. So you'll see the usage and you'll see 3 graphs on the left here. And again, these 3 graphs are the things that I use most often. You'll see also these essentially tabs. They don't look like tabs, but that's what they are. And we can go into use and see more usage data. We can go into words. Now, as you're kind of poking around and seeing things that are interesting, um, you can, oh, actually backtrack 1 second. You can actually change the date range for this. So right now we're looking at November 26th to December 2nd. I kind of want to look at a bigger chunk of time than this. Uh, Often I look at a whole month. So what I'm actually going to do first is set up a time frame. So we're going to give it a start frame, or sorry, start date of November 1st. And we'll do all the way to November 30th. And then load. There's a video on how to change the date in that playlist that I showed you. Oh, request failed. It's because I had already done that. Anyway, so we can look at it actually from a monthly perspective. Um, Actually, for this usage data, I do think that the weekly is the best. We can go back in time and take a look at different days and see what's going on. This student has a very interesting usage pattern. Yeah, so like what was going on Wednesday and Friday there. Now, if I see something and I want to save it for later, what I need to do is generate a report. Again, there's a video on this that you can refer to later. And then so here, there is a little paper icon. So you can press that and you can either do snapshot or full report. Go into those, see which one you like. There's no reason that you have to do what I like. So I'm just going to go into snapshot. So when you go into reports, you'll see different reports that you've generated, and then you can hit view and it'll download automatically. I'm using Chrome, so it'll show me what's being downloaded up here. If it's old, like sometimes I'll look and I'll see, I'll have stuff from 2022 and I'll just delete all those, for example. So it's quite easy to use. You can go into it and make get language samples and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like between this usage data that'll tell you maybe there's chunks of the day where like Tuesdays in the morning consistently it's not happening, so like what's going on there kind of thing. I don't usually look at it throughout the year though. I usually look at it more like at major reporting periods or something like that. uh, these words, I think people love a word cloud, and it's really great to see how many different words that the student is using. It's funny that she really likes the and so much. Wondering what she's getting out of that and. Um, and then the last thing that I use quite often is this analysis. So I'm seeing here that we're really good with the nouns. The verbs are coming along. That's great. And then we have some adjectives happening as well. Sometimes what we'll see is we'll see nouns and then verbs are way down here and everything else is pretty minimal. And that tells me that we need to focus a little bit more on our green words and our blue words. Um, yeah. Yeah, poke around. There's lots of really cool stuff. If you get really into it, like you can look at it by word groups and compare to research and like how the student's language sample compares to um, some research that's out there. But honestly, I never do that. Once you have downloaded those, I download everything into my downloads folder, and I'm not going to open it up right now because I think there might be some confidential stuff in there. But you can. It's just like downloading an image or a PDF or something like that from somewhere. So you can just attach those to an email and send them off. Or what I have done is I've included my AAC report template. And at the very, very end, the very last page is an appendix for realized language. And you can see the blurb that I have that has described each of the images and how to interpret them. You can take a look at that. And that's one way that I give the information to LSTs and things as well. Is there anything else that you do with realized language?
I the other thing I like is if you want to go to that main page with all your kids on it, that's a
Mhm.
really quick way to see how much the device is being used by students. For example, you see one, you don't have any data since March, so either they haven't logged it on or they're actually not using the device.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So yeah, all of these people are using their device. This one actually got a new device in March. And he's not using his touch chat anymore. So, or sorry, he's not using his iPad anymore. So that's why that hasn't updated. But this reminds me that I have to go update him. But we see here that for some reason this hasn't updated since June, and this hasn't updated since November for some reason. So yeah, yeah, this is also a good thing to look at. Now I'm wondering why this guy's
I have a
hasn't updated since
question.
November. Yeah.
So I had a few kids on there last year, and then I know Kim said I can transfer one of mine over to
Mhm.
Fiona. But when I look now, there isn't data, and I kind of had this issue last year too. But right now, if I look at like my current touch chat users, I don't have current data for them. But is it like would maybe their talkers have gone updated, and then it does that affect realized language?
Yeah, so it's not supposed to, but that doesn't mean that it didn't. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, so if you look at that, like how to set kids up, you go through the same process to check to make sure that they are. There's a couple like tick boxes and stuff that I don't get into, but you might look at that box, that data, I think it's called data logging, that just
Okay.
those few fields in there, and it might be that auto upload isn't enabled or something like that. It's in that all
With
in
the
that same section.
2020
Okay, so sorry, when you're saying those boxes, is that on touch chat or is that on realize?
On touch chat. Yeah, you
Okay,
go
on touch
into
chat. Okay.
touch chat and you go
Yeah.
into settings and then you scroll to that like data logging box.
Okay. Okay. I will check because yeah, I don't have like the last for one of my kids, it's like February. So like I need to like check to make sure that they're updated.
Yeah, and just so you know, it's continuing to log. Usually it's just not uploading, if that makes sense.
Oh, good to know. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So don't like stress too much about it.
Okay. I'll see.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Let me know if you have any questions and if it would be helpful to have another little bitty video kind of thing. All the videos are like less than a minute, so it should get you going and should answer your questions. Um, when in doubt, you can also Google things. If you have a question, it's also very likely that other people have had the question as well. But sometimes with things like realized language, because there's such common words, it's hard to actually get the result you're looking for. You get like realize something else and language something else, you know? But yeah, so if you can't find what you're looking for sure, send me or Kim an email. And if it needs to be a little video, then we can make that for you too. Thank you.